I'm not perfect, God, neither are you. Tell these salty motherfuckers to tell the truth. Tell politicians to give up the rooms. Tell silent voters to stand up to the booth.
God, it's me. Can you hear my plea? Feeling like I'm lost in this world, can't you see? Demons creeping in, trying to take control of me. But I'm just trying to find the light, trying to break free. I'm not perfect, God, neither are you. But why you keep forgetting me? What did I do? Trying to have a convo, but you starting to preach. Feeling like I'm on a leash. Can't find no peace, find no peace. Living in hell, can't you hear my plea? I'm suffocating, can't you see? Why you let these false prophets roam free? While the well-run suffer, can't you see? I'm not perfect, God, neither are you. Why you keep targeting me? What did I do? Trying to have a convo, but you starting to preach. Feel like I'm on a leash, can't find no peace.
Hardest battles, strongest soldiers, greatest burden, broadest shoulders, pushing up just like these boulders. See conflict like it's water, so this mercy, take my chalice, seeking grace through all this malice. All of these salty motherfuckers to give out.
Politics and senators, they all the same.
Got me stuck in this endless game. But I won't give up, won't play the role. Gotta do what's best
for my soul.
I'm not perfect, God. Neither are you. Tell these salty motherfuckers to tell the truth. Tell these politicians to give up the room. Tell silent voters to stand up to the booth. Living wild but truthfully free. God keep on watching over me. Take my pleas and keep the receipts. I just want all of you.
Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. This morning, you already know how we do it. We play independent music. And here is Don Tripp, Rumble in the Jungle. We'll be right back right after that.
Yeah. Turn me up just a tad, Big Kevin.
Damn, dude.
I don't start swinging till they ring the bell. I fell victim to some friends that ain't mean me well. They did a great job pretending I couldn't even tell. Till it was almost too late, but as soon as I start trimming the hedges, I find the snakes, niggas from round the way, jealous of me cause I found a way. I thought I could bring them all up with me, that's my mistake. Gotta say, a valuable lesson was learned. Niggas was winning, I sat patiently waiting my turn. I never hated at all. I know one day I'm a ball. Hard work gotta pay off, so I never take a day off. Same rap niggas that tried to barricade my path, jumping all in my DMs trying to collab. Young man rumble, yeah. Rumble, young man, rumble, yeah. Rumble, young man, rumble. Rumble, young man, rumble, young man, rumble, young man, rumble. Rumble, young man, rumble. Rumble, young man, rumble. Rumble, young man, rumble, young man. I bet not ever let off. 2012, they said I fell off. Pussy niggas in my business trying to write a tell-all. Told them I want all the smoke just like a pack of menthol. I know you rap niggas shake it like a fucking wet dog. All about my cut like a Caesarean. The rat niggas before me all fell into oblivion. Niggas ran to radio stations and begged them stations not to ever put my shit in rotation. And yet I made it, where the fuck are they? I'm at the top and I look around, ain't no familiar face. All I see is empty space. Every day is grind time, every second's prime time. Now I'm waving at my haters on the sideline. Young man rumble. Rumble, young man. Rumble, young man. Rumble, young man, rumble. Rumble, young man. Rumble, young man. Rumble, young man, rumble. Rumble, young man, rumble. Rumble, young man. Rumble, young man. Rumble, young man, rumble. Long live Piff. Long live Piff. Long live Piff.
On Trip. Rumble in the Jungle. The first thing that I wanted to start with this morning is I saw this morning and I watched it. And I've been thinking about the last couple of days about all this fraud shit, right? And there some more is coming out. And we see at the state capitol, we see them talking about ICE. We see them talking about Operation Metro Surge. But one thing that they're really not talking about is how the fuck do we get rid of this fraud? How? Like, how do we get rid of it? Like, how do we eradicate it? How do we get it out of systems that fraud has been here for years? And it's only gotten more. This is the most, I think, the truest quote that I've even heard about when it comes to the fraud. Hold on, I'm gonna pull it up real quick. Yeah. So Tom Ely, the CPA, says, having worked on healthcare fraud issues since the 70s, this is more egregious and obvious than anything that I have ever seen. Does Minnesota audit anything? Does Minnesota audit anything? And that really had me, I saw that this morning and it made me think, like, what the fuck are we doing about all this fraud? It's like every day there's more stories. Stories. People are dying. People have become homeless. Mental issues have become worse. You have people right now in the Twin Cities that don't know where they're going to live because the landlord is letting them stay there. He's losing money. So what the fuck are we really talking about? Because we're not talking about shit. We're not talking about bettering Minnesota, because how are we bettering Minnesota and all this fraud is going on still? We're not even getting rid of it. At this point, is that something like that's embedded into our systems, our social justice systems? Like, is it that bad now that everything is so fucked up, it's fraudulent? I really want to know, because I don't really see people talking about this shit. The news does, yes. And maybe we got some committees that talk about it. But when it really comes time to getting answers for Minnesotans, nobody's really doing it. And I'm going to be straight up. Because I'm not saying that the Waste and Fraud Committee has anything to do with me. It was an idea that me and Robert brought back to them. I had a meeting back with Republicans back in 2022 talking about the fraud, not about the Somalians, but about these DBAs, these ghost companies, and so much other shit that you see even now. When it came to, we were talking about Zion Baptist Church before the news was. I'm not here for credit. I don't give a fuck about that. But motherfuckers always tell me, though, they message me, they call, like, damn, you was right. You was right, because the shit is real. It's not a game. These are people's lives that we're playing with. And nobody's being held accountable. There's so much blood on this money, and motherfuckers accept it because they would rather be in the in crowd. They don't want to be on the outside looking in. They want to be in the game. But at what cost?
There's millions of dollars. KARE 11 Investigates followed the money, uncovering hidden ownership ties, alleged Medicaid fraud, and connections to a government employee.
Here's AJ Legault with the latest chapter in Recovery Inc.
This is the address. It's September 2025, and KARE 11 was tracking down a company.
It says it's Suite 312.
A company Erna Hammerschmidt discovered, billing her Medicaid thousands of dollars for adult rehabilitative mental health, or ARMS, services she said she'd never received.
Day after day.
A company she'd never heard of.
This company, Community Care Partners, has never worked with me in any way, shape, or form.
That's what led us to an office building in St. Anthony.
It's all locked up.
In the middle of the workday, Community Care Partners' office was empty. A passerby told us that was not unusual.
Excuse me, do you know if anybody's ever here for community care?
I barely see anybody on this floor, to be honest.
As part of our reporting, we obtained this purchase agreement showing the company was sold in late December 2023 to 3 individuals, Habat Sharif, Musab Abdul Qadir, and Mohammed Mohammed. CARE's analysis of Medicaid data revealed that starting in 2024, under the new ownership, the company's billing skyrocketed. In 2025 alone, it was nearly $1 million.
To be blunt, you feel like fraud was committed?
Oh, absolutely. There's no way it was not committed.
Eventually, one of the owners, Mohammed Mohammed, emailed us. He refused to participate in an interview, but acknowledged fraudulent billing in Erna's case, writing they had terminated the staff member involved.
They wouldn't answer any of our other questions. After we published our report, however, we received some strange pushback.
Habat Sharif emailed claiming our reporting was defamatory. Why? Habat said she and Musab Abdul Qadir never took ownership of Community Care Partners and everything occurred under someone else's ownership and direction. Mohammed Mohammed then emailed that he was the sole owner and requested the other individuals' names be removed from our report because they had no relationship to the organization. As proof, he sent a transfer agreement claiming Habat and Musab withdrew from the purchase on January 4th, 2024. But we found metadata.
But look at this.
Embedded in the document that revealed it was created on November 6th, 2025, nearly 2 years after it was supposedly signed, and the same day it was emailed to Care 11.
This suspicious document led us to widen our investigation, taking a closer look at the people who were tied to it and the other businesses they're running.
My name is Hibad. I am the director of Access Healing Center.
Habat and Musab, that's him on the right in this YouTube podcast, along with a state employee, a grant writer named Lol Osman.
I'm also a co-owner of Access Healing Center.
The 3 said they co-own an addiction treatment company called Access Healing Center.
Access Healing Center, right now it's a culturally specific, faith-based treatment center.
We found it listed in the same St. Anthony building as Community Care Partners. In fact, just 1 suite away, although the company's treatment license is inactive, listed since August 2025 as pending reopening.
Let's just say it was kind of like a zoo being there.
Muhammad Ali is a former client. His Medicaid records show Access Healing billed more than $11,000, claiming to give him peer services, which the law requires be provided 1-to-1.
It was always a group setting. I never had a one-on-one with a peer member at all.
Medicaid data shows.
Oh, damn it. What's going on?
In the last 2 years, Access Healing billed for $465,000 worth of peer recovery services.
The owners wouldn't answer any of our questions about the allegations of group billing. We also found the publicly funded money trail doesn't end there.
We found hundreds of thousands of dollars in contracts and grants from Minneapolis, Hennepin County, and the state. Hennepin County just agreed to give Access Healing another $100,000 grant in 2026 for culturally specific programming and community awareness campaigns.
We also found ties to the now infamous housing stabilization program.
Musab owns Asaya Home Care Inc., which billed Medicaid a total of $452,000. Habat owns Stable Services, which billed another $290,000. We've seen no direct fraud allegations involving those companies. However, the entire HSS Medicaid program was terminated last year in the wake of Care 11's reporting that exposed systemic fraud in the program designed to help house the homeless. There have been numerous federal raids and charges as a result of that probe, which is ongoing.
The HSS program is riddled with fraud. The story has become all too familiar.
This story now brings us back to where we started. Remember how Care 11 was told Habat had no ownership, no relationship. Care Partners, and Mohammed Mohammed was the sole owner. In this social media video, Habat asks Mohammed to buy her, for her birthday, Dahab, that's Arabic for gold. Public records reveal the two are far more than business partners. They're married.
A lawyer representing Habat, Mohammed, and Musab eventually sent Kara Levin a letter counseling us to get legal advice before we went ahead with this report. Lil Osman, the state employee, never responded to our numerous attempts to contact her. This is obviously a complex story. You can read our full investigation on KaraLevin.com.
So I don't understand why they are still to this day giving money to programs that are fraudulent. Still today, in 2026, you still have organizations, orgs, getting money today. That's crazy to me. It's like they want to argue about everything else at the state capitol. Everything else what's actually happening in the streets of Minnesota. And that's fraud. Fraud is happening at a rate that we can't even. And what's crazy is when you see this fraud, you also see other stories. You also see other stories. I'm going to say that again. You also see other stories just beyond fraud. You see Minneapolis Police Department that has two very high profile cases. And there was an audit that people should be asking questions. If you live in Minneapolis, you should be looking at this shit and be like, yo, we really got, even when it comes to the fraud, like, hey, we got to step up. We got to eradicate this shit, because if we're going to change anything in the state of Minnesota, it's got to come from us. It has to come from us. So let's listen to the story about how Minneapolis Police Department and their city audit.
New report from the city auditor in Minneapolis is shedding light on what went wrong in MPD's response to two high-profile investigations. It includes the shooting of Davis Moturi, who police say was shot by his neighbor in October 2024 while trimming a tree on their shared property line, following dozens of calls to MPD for help, all in the span of a year. The review also looked into the department's handling of Allison Lussier's case. She was found dead in February 2024 after making 9 911 calls in 2 years, reporting her on and off boyfriend for domestic abuse. None of her calls resulted in an arrest, and still no charges have been filed. We have team coverage tonight. Audrey Russo heard from Lussier's family, but we begin with Ian Russell digging deeper into today's report and the changes it recommends.
For the first time, we're learning new details in the investigations of the death of Allison Lussier and the shooting of Davis Moturi, two high-profile cases from 2024.
Those who reach out for help deserve the very best from the city of Minneapolis and our police department.
The Minneapolis City Auditor presented its after-action review of both incidents to the City Council Wednesday morning.
Members of the Audit Committee, we have one item before us today.
The report details several key pieces of information and findings in both cases, including numerous issues with the handling and follow-up of both investigations.
We learn for those lessons, and we make improvements.
Moturi, a black man who police say was shot by his white neighbor John Sawchuk in October of 2024, had called police nearly 40 times prior to that happening. The review points to an incident 10 days prior in which he had called 911 to report Sawchuk pointing a gun at him that was never escalated within the MPD. Officers had also confused the meaning of different protective orders, misunderstanding the differences.
We're being very thoughtful and intentional about including a number of these recommendations in the annual training plan that's planned out a year in advance.
There were even more issues in the death of Allison Lussier, a Native woman found dead in her apartment in 2024. Lussier had called police several times to report her boyfriend for domestic abuse. None of those resulted in an arrest. The review found officers reasoned that they couldn't arrest her ex-boyfriend because a 72-hour rule had expired roughly 30 minutes prior. That allows officers to arrest someone without a warrant up to 72 hours after the fact if they have probable cause. The review also noted that Chief Brian O'Hara made inaccurate statements based on inaccurate information, pointing to levels of meth and fentanyl in Lussier's system.
So I think it's process improvement that's welcome because it's identifying other training needs.
And that report calls for several changes to policy and procedures in the wake of both of these incidents, several of which are either being worked on or have already changed, according to MPD. And we have much more on that, including the full report on care11.com right now. And another piece of this that made responses slower was a lack of staffing in general and in several departments involved in these investigations. And also worth noting, it's long been publicized that O'Hara and Hennepin County Attorney Mary Moriarty have had a poor working relationship. The audit calls for better communication between the two, and both have indicated that they are open to that. Lauren.
Well, certainly a lot of items in that report. I read through some of it, Ian, that MPD has to work on and maybe is already working on. Thank you for that. And we know that the families of these two people have been calling for these answers for a long time now. Audrey Russo continues our team coverage now with new reaction from Allison Lussier's family. Audrey?
For Allison Lussier's family, this audit is the result of 2 years of unrelenting pressure that they put on MPD and city leaders. Now, Allison was found dead in February of 2024 after roughly a dozen 911 calls reporting violence at the hands of her boyfriend. Now, the medical examiner ruled her death was undetermined, but the drugs in her system led police to treat the case as an overdose. Now, based on Allison's case, auditors have recommended changes, among them treating all DOA cases with domestic violence history as a crime scene, also quickly assigning cases to investigators where the suspected abuser has left the scene. Now, family members say implementing those changes will help victims like Allison get justice faster, but they say this is just the first step.
These are the conversations that we need to have. Just because there's a 10-step process doesn't mean that that's going to change the system. The policies can change. That's not going to change the officers overnight.
Right.
And we've been following Allison's case since 2024, and we'll have much more from her family coming up at 6 o'clock. Back to you.
Audrey, thank you for that. And if you or someone you know...
Yeah, that's crazy to me. It's like, I think that happens in a lot of police departments all over Minnesota, not just Minneapolis and St. Paul. And I think we actually do have police departments where you have people who are not taken very serious because they do have maybe they have prostitution or drugs. So then they're already trying to make it seem like the people are bad and they don't deserve to be looked upon. And that takes me back into like, we wouldn't have had the killings of Jeffrey Dahmer or Ted Bundy because people did try to warn police departments. But because it was happening to gay black men in Milwaukee, they didn't care. They didn't care that it was happening to gay black males. That's why we never ever see no justice. I mean, how can you let a man like Ted Bundy, all those things were happening, especially all those bodies under his house. And it's like, we have to really start looking at patterns in America and say like, hey, we need to call that shit out, because I feel like in society today, there's so much wrong going on, and they don't even want people to speak out about it, or they don't want none of that shit. And it really, really, it makes me wonder, like, do people really want to make the world a better place? Do they want to actually have unity and peace? And because I don't think some people want that. I think they want it their way or no way. And if it's not going to be their way, they're going to make sure the way that it's becoming is going to be fucked up. And that's how I see it. I mean, I don't know how to put this any other way than how I'm talking about it, because I don't know how to bring it to people that are potential voters. I'm just a nigga that came from nothing. You know what I'm saying? Like, I had a fucked up life. I'm lucky to be alive at 48. I wish I would have definitely had took some better decisions in my life. And there is people that are, that's the one crazy part to me is like, and I don't want to rant or whatever, but I do want to talk about something. we always talk about second chances. And it's like, to me, that second chance depends on a lot of things. Depends on your skin color. It depends about your wealth class. Because I see people out here endorsing and promoting Mike Lindell, and it makes me like really, really like, how can we see you guys in legislation and government when all the things that we've known? I even see that about Trump, but I didn't vote for the nigga, so I mean, at the end of the day, I don't really care. I didn't. That's on America. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm in Minnesota. I don't really got to deal with that nigga. And it just makes me like, isn't the world so much bigger than just one man? Should be so much bigger. Because we can't. How can we live in unity when we have people that have write legislation or author it to gender affirming care or driver's license for all, or they want to give all this money to illegal immigrants? That's what I don't understand, is like, why do we have all these city entities and state trying to get rid of homelessness or trying to get rid of this and that, and we have so much fraud? We have so much fraud. I don't get it. It's like distract, deflect, whatever. I don't know. But it's like, when are we going to actually start talking about the things that matter? I'm not saying that how much, here's how much Operation Metro Surge cost Minnesota. It's not just a price tag behind that. There isn't just a price. You can't put, okay, let's put it where, I think it was like 800 and some thousand they spent on, maybe it was million, 600 million or whatever. It's like the fraud has done way more. Way more. People have died. And we don't see no accountability from lawmakers who say, oh, we know there's no fraud in these programs, but yet there's fraud. We let these motherfuckers lie to our face. Doesn't matter if it's Bobby Champion. Doesn't matter if it's Tim Walz, Keith Ellison, Chris Finke, Breon Curran. Like, I even seen Nicole Mitchell was about to make a Senate run again. And it's like, God damn. Like, this shit wild to me. How do we expect better when we continually do the same thing over and over and over and over again? Isn't that the definition of crazy? To do something over and over and over again? When are we going to learn? We have to start talking about the things that matter. Because how are we going to make sure that our state gets better if we're not having conversations about it? To be honest, it's really past time to have conversations. Because we've known fraud for years has been happening. But because it's such a political issue, fraud is, they don't have any solutions. The Democrats, you know what? I don't really know what to do. I don't really talk to them much. So I don't know what's going on. I see the shit that Kristen Robbins, no disrespect to them, and I see like, Isaac Schultz, or, I see them, Harry Niska. But what are we actually doing? People came to Minnesota. I know when I was growing up, one of the mottos or little sayings, slogans, or whatever for Minnesota that we said in the streets: come here on vacation, leave on probation. A lot of people didn't understand that until they started to really look at what was happening in Minnesota and be like, damn, yeah, these niggas come here on vacation and leave on probation, because that's what was happening. Just so they can get niggas into the system. Didn't matter what kind of crime it was. They wanted motherfuckers in the system because you get money. Yeah, people don't understand that. And we really should. All these programs have asked for more and more money that have been fraudulent. So if those programs didn't need the extra money because of fraud, but see, Nobody wanted to talk about the shit because they were more worried about the messengers and not the message. I'm going to continue to saying that they were more worried about the messengers than the message because nobody was really taking I'll say some people did take it serious, like Pam Altendorf, but I'll say this in Pam's defense, right? Because I still see the good in Pam. You know, I was in Red Wing, and you know she's a Republican. They had before her, I think it was Barb Haley, and Barb. Oh my! Like I didn't even know Barb. I shouldn't even say like we had anything bad, but she came to speak to the Hispanic community, and I walked up on her, and she acted like I was going to do something to her. I just want to talk, lady. That's all. I don't want to hurt you. I don't want to put my hands on you. I just want to have a conversation. A conversation. Nothing else. She didn't want to do that. A lady that doesn't even know me. But Pam was willing to do that. Pam was willing to sit down and have a conversation. And I've always been thankful for that. You know, it's like the same thing back in 2022 when I brought the Republicans the fraud and waste. Like y'all niggas ain't catching the connections here. It's like that's why I feel like Minnesota's like we're not past gone yet, but it's crunch time where our state, just like the same way Hennepin County HMC ain't got little money left, our state is going to be like that where we don't have much money left. Is that where we want to be? And because we couldn't get a handle on the fraud?
A new court filing is tallying the cost of Operation Metro Surge 2 months after the immigration crackdown. A lawsuit filed by the Minnesota AG puts the price tag of more than $600 million for business losses in Minneapolis and St. Paul. Ubali shows us how they came up with those numbers and the suit against the federal government.
That's right, Frank. The study highlights lost wages, lost business revenue, and the loss of trust in police. Researchers from the U.S. Immigration Policy Center in California put that into numbers. You could take a look. They found 70% of Minneapolis residents surveyed said they had an encounter with ICE agents are less likely to ask for help. Across the river in St. Paul, 66%. That fear had a ripple effect in the economy. 4,000 federal agents came into the Twin Cities, and it quickly became the largest immigration crackdown in history. In usually busy business corridors, we saw empty storefronts, people standing guard outside. We could see it and we heard it.
What did I do to deserve so much hate to us? What did we do?
Now researchers from the U.S. Immigration Policy Center in California put that into numbers. The new filing claims over $600 million in lost business revenue between both Twin Cities. More than $440 million in the city of Lakes and just over $165 million in St. Paul. The survey found encounters with federal agents also caused many people not to go to work. In total, it estimates $240 million in lost wages for residents, nearly $190 million for Minneapolis, and just under $55 million in St. Paul. The surge strained police resources. Minneapolis police extended 500 shifts and racked up over $6 million in overtime from January through the end of March.
There's just so much going on. Well, we're trying to do our basic mission to be the police for the city.
The St. Paul Police Department spent nearly $5 million directly tied to federal immigration activity between November 2025 and February. And that's not all. People who encountered federal agents were far more likely to skip medical appointments, according to this study. In Minneapolis, 66% avoided the hospital despite needing urgent care. It's no secret who city leaders believe should pay for the damage left behind.
Minneapolis taxpayers should not be left to foot the bill of this situation that has been created by the federal government.
Our impacted communities have not recovered.
The filing also notes the operation chipped away at the state's tax base too. The burning question, how will the state make up that money? Something that lawmakers hope to accomplish, Frank.
Yeah. Uba, thanks.
We have got to the point where literally anybody can build a fully working
When do people actually want to see that, a change? You know what I'm saying? Like, when do you want to see difference in our communities? Because you see a hospital that is going under, and that's because of bad governance. That's because of bad laws, failed ordinances, failed resolutions. But who has to pay? Who has to pay? The taxpayers. But yet we don't see nobody going to jail. We don't see nobody getting in trouble, being fired. But yet we're supposed to trust them. We're supposed to trust these people with our tax dollars, where we see it keep on being fucked up. You don't see Mayo Clinic coming out here asking for more money. You see they're giving money. But it really just shows how much bad governance makes a difference. It does. Because if you have bad governance, that's how cities look. That's how, even in red, I'm not just making it a blue, right? I'm talking about red, because we can say the same thing in Louisiana. And I'm going to get into that, because that really just even showed me it's not just a blue problem. We also have Republican lawmakers that do the same shit or even worse. It may be another state, but it just shows you how bad corruption is here in Minnesota. And not even in just Minnesota, but all over the country in different forms. And it's not just one party, it's both. So when are we, the people, gonna do something about it? Because this is the whole reason why the Boston Tea Party happened. Because they felt like they were being taxed and they didn't have any representation. So when are we gonna stand up and be like, enough is enough? I'm tired of being taxed and I have no representation. Like, when are we gonna stand up and say enough is enough? Let's get rid of this shit. Like, this is too much. But yet people don't want to do that.
And we begin tonight with the full-blown crisis happening at the Hennepin County Medical Center. The state's largest emergency department and trauma center is in dire financial straits and will likely require more support from taxpayers to stay open. So how did we get here? Investigative reporter Ryan Raish is diving into the numbers.
This continues to be a big story, so we're going to walk you through the numbers tonight. Of course, we're talking about HCMC, which some people have called the heartbeat of Minneapolis. Now, the hospital has already said it is trying to save about $200 million by the end of the year, and here's why. Let's look at the cash on hand. This is the amount of money they have in the bank to meet payroll and pay other bills. HCMC right now has about 7.7 days worth of cash on hand. Now compare that to the national average, about 119 days worth of cash on hand. You compare the two, that is a dramatic difference.
I think Minnesotans should be alarmed right now. This is a full-blown crisis that we have been ringing the alarm bell for at least the last 1.5 to 2 years. And now, unfortunately, the fire is already raging.
Dr. Rahul Khurana is the president of the Minnesota Hospital Association. He says this is a statewide problem, and no matter where you live and what you can afford, you will feel the impact.
It doesn't matter what insurance card you're carrying in your wallet. It may be the Cadillac insurance card, but if the local hospital or the local clinic has been forced to shut down, your access just went away.
So how did we get here? Of course, falling Medicaid reimbursement rates is one, but another driving factor here is what's called uncompensated care. That's a term used to describe people who don't pay their medical bills or simply can't. HCMC doesn't turn anyone away, so this pool of patients continues to climb. And look at 2024. The amount of uncompensated care was $104 million. We'll get more recent figures coming soon. Look at this over time. $104 million in 2024. Back in 2020, it was just $40 million. That is an explosion in uncompensated care in just 4 years.
If the uncompensated care keeps going up and the hospitals do not have money, like some of our hospitals right now, do not have money to pay their staff, they're going to close. And I want Minnesotans to hear this.
5 Eyewitness News recently asked this question directly to HCMC's new CEO.
Is that a realistic
I don't believe so, no. I believe that there is bipartisan support for recognizing the value that Hennepin Healthcare provides.
We'll finish on a positive note. For the first time in a long time, I learned HCMC managed to make payroll using its own revenue without dipping into the county's funds. But as we've just laid out, in the long term, it is not sustainable. Guys, back to you.
Serious words. Thank you, Ryan.
Yeah, that's crazy that
All right, Leon, thank
we
you.
don't even have enough money. Yeah, that shit's wild. And I do believe that they would really have an issue with HCMC closing in that area, because you're literally getting rid of a hospital that takes care of not only just people that are Minneapolis, but actually all over Minnesota, and not as big as Mayo, but they do have a trauma. They have a trauma center, and they have other things too, that like for cancer, and yeah. So that hospital closed. That's a lot of things. But do we really want to be taxed more when we can't even get the fraud under control? That's what I'm saying. Like, how can we go forward? How do we move forward? And we still see fraud. That's one thing that I really do want to know. Like, how do we move forward? Because we have broken systems, and then we have real consequences. But who pays when leadership fails? Us, we the people. Us, we the people. So when are people going to stand up and be like, enough is enough? I'm tired of it. I'm tired of living like this. These shitty conditions. It's not getting worse. It's decaying. And they don't care because, first of all, when you really look around the city or even the state, these people aren't from here. Governor Walz, he's from Nebraska. He don't know shit about Minnesota nice. He can say it, doesn't mean that it's true. This nigga moved over here. He migrated. You look at the Minneapolis, St. Paul mayors. Neither are from Minnesota. One's from a whole different country. Yeah, it should be crazy to me. I really don't get it. I really don't get it. It's like, this is why I have such a hard time even having conversations anymore with people, because it's never about actually getting rid of the fraud. It's talking about everything else. Oh, I want to talk about Trump. I'm okay with talking about Governor Walz. I'm okay with talking about Jacob Frey, our Caholy Hurd, our Norton. I'm okay talking about city councils. I'm okay with talking about school boards. But let's get rid of this fraud. You got niggas getting mad all over out the city because of data centers. Motherfuckers signing, you have your cities signing NDAs. So that to me, that's fucking wild. Like, our systems are so broken. But there is real fucking consequences. Life or death. So when do y'all don't realize why is it so hard for people to realize that? America's standing on its last legs. Last legs. And I don't know if we cannot collapse. Because it doesn't matter if it's the weather. It doesn't matter if it's, I'll definitely say weather, because you're having more out of control tornadoes. hurricanes, flooding. That just shows you that our infrastructures are broken. And we have real life consequences because of that shit. Real life consequences. And this one drives me a little bit insane, right? Because the state of fentanyl in Minnesota is on the rise. And it's like, really? Motherfuckers been talking about, here's the thing that people don't maybe miss or bypass, whatever, right? Prince died of a fentanyl overdose. Y'all want to talk about 10 years. You want to talk about Cherry Moon in the Sky, Purple Rain, Little Red Corvette. Prince, the Jehovah's Witness, Roger Nelson. No disrespect. I actually met Roger Nelson. He wasn't called Prince in the Jehovah's Witness scene. Actually met him in Rochester because they had the Mayo Civic Center. They have weekend, I don't know, people from the Midwest get together, and it's like a convention kind of thing. And Roger Nelson, because I wasn't allowed to, actually tried to call him Prince, and I was corrected. No, he's Roger Nelson here. So I was like, damn, okay. But it was kind of wild of seeing him and in a place that I didn't really see too many black people, but to see him in this space was it was really uplifting. And nigga was really short. I ain't gonna lie about that. Prince was a short ass nigga. But fentanyl been here. Fentanyl been here. And we're only now trying to get laws passed, ordinances, and yet it is decimating our communities because it's a weapon of mass destruction. That illicit fentanyl, not the fentanyl you get from the hospitals. Yeah, they can OD on that shit. But I'm talking about the fentanyl that you get off, the illicit. The illicit. And then they put that trank in there. So then that Narcan is not going to work anymore because Narcan only works on opioids. But the kicker is they can put something else in there, like a trank, like an Exelane, I think it's called. It's like XY, it's like Exelane or whatever. And that's not an opioid. That's even about as strong as fentanyl. And the Narcan, it doesn't work with that. It doesn't work. So this is why you are seeing people dying. This is why you're seeing people having to use all these Narcans. Maybe they got the needle or they got the nose, whatever. And it doesn't work. They're like, wait, why isn't this working? Because they put other shit in there. That's why I call this shit a weapon of mass destruction. Because sometimes no matter what you do to combat it, it doesn't work. And it doesn't work because I'm not going to say they're smarter, but they work smarter while the government works harder.
Ago today started a new conversation about the relatively unknown drug at the time. But since then, fentanyl use has exploded across the country. Harrison Klopp shares what those on the front lines of the fight against the powerful opioids say.
We spoke with a top DEA official today who says his office has made 103 fentanyl-related arrests so far this year, and we're only in mid-April, as they made 148 all of last year. So they're on pace to surpass it by quite a bit, and that seems to be the trend. As we spoke with law enforcement on all levels today, who say fentanyl in our communities is only on the rise.
We had almost 37 pounds of fentanyl that was seized for our drug task force. The year before that, it was 8.
Dakota County Sheriff Joe Lico says he's seen a big fentanyl uptick this year and says the number of drugs in the area has kept his deputies busy.
This happens on a weekly basis. We arrest people and seize fentanyl on a weekly basis. The higher weight volumes are maybe a little bit more sporadic, but they arrest people and seize fentanyl on a daily basis and a weekly basis here in Dakota County.
Dustin Gillespie, who oversees 5 states, including Minnesota, for the Drug Enforcement Administration, says the problem is not unique to Dakota County.
Every community, every corner of the state of Minnesota is affected by fentanyl.
Gillespie was able to share this data with 5 Eyewitness News. The DEA seized enough fentanyl for 4.51 million deadly doses in 2025, which is up from just 1.59 million doses the year before. The DEA says they know where the drugs are coming from into Minnesota.
Sounds like 100% of the fentanyl that comes into Minnesota comes from Mexico.
Yes, I would say, you can never say in certain terms that it's 100%, but it's very close to 100%. Like I said, the Sinaloa cartel has a very strong presence in the state of Minnesota.
Gillespie says the problem is becoming widespread.
It's in every school. It's not a matter of, if my child will encounter fentanyl at some point in their life. It's a question of when.
Law enforcement says the biggest change they've seen in fentanyl is how it's being distributed. As they're used to seeing it in pills, they're now seeing it in powder, more so now than ever. From Minneapolis, Harrison.
And that's why you are seeing, I don't know how many posts I've seen this year of people talking about there was fentanyl in the weed. Because a lot of that shit is powder. And that's how you see the whole with the pill pressers. The people are making the pills. They've been doing that. They sell the shit on Amazon. You can get it right delivered to your house. Same with, even before weed was legal here. You could just go out to Cali or Denver and meet you somebody that is willing to send the shit to a state. I have to find the video, but in the boxes that they used to mail the shit in, it was all covered up where no smell could get out. And it would, UPS would deliver it right to you, not UPS, the mailman would deliver the shit right to your house. It was like everybody want to talk about a drive-through, but literally you were having weed, just coming through Minnesota. Like, no joke. I want to talk about, because I really thought this story was crazy. Rev had shared this, and it's in Louisiana, and it just shows how much, how there is,
specifically a large,
how there is fraud, how there is bullshit, and this is about immigration, and people really should look at this and be like, wow, so there's a loophole into the system, huh? There's a loophole how to get your citizenship. There's a loophole how to get a visa. And we need to really stop that, because you have to look at this. You need to pay attention that 3 police chiefs, a Subway shop owner, in a decade, 10 years of fake armed robberies. I want people to hear that. 10 years of fake robberies, faked armed robberies.
3 police chiefs, a town marshal, and a Subway shop owner were just indicted for faking armed robberies for nearly a decade. Not a single one of those robberies ever happened. So this story takes place in a stretch of small towns in Louisiana. Oakdale with a population of 6,600, Glenmora population 1,000, and Forest Hill population 600. These are tiny, quiet places where not much happens. And yet, somehow, over the past decade, federal investigators noticed an unusual concentration of armed robberies being reported in these towns. Specifically, a large number of people who were not from Louisiana were supposedly getting robbed. It turns out that this whole thing was actually a visa fraud scheme. A 62-count federal indictment lays out exactly how it worked. There's a type of visa called a U visa. Congress created it in the year 2000 to encourage foreign nationals who are victims of serious crimes to cooperate with law enforcement. In exchange for helping with the investigation, they can apply to stay in the country. To apply, you need a police report and a signed certification from a law enforcement official confirming that you were a legitimate victim of a crime. So a guy named Chandrakant Patel, also known as Lala, owned a Subway shop and some convenience stores in Oakdale, and he allegedly became the middleman for this scheme. Immigrants who wanted to stay in the U.S. contacted Patel. They'd pay him thousands of dollars, and then Patel would go to one of the law enforcement officers and pay them $5,000 per name to write up fake police reports listing these people as victims of armed robberies. The officers would then sign the official certification forms under oath, swearing these individuals were legitimate victims of crime. The paperwork would then get mailed off to U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services, and the applications would go through. Hundreds of people reportedly obtained visas this way. And apparently, this isn't an isolated case. A federal grand jury in Boston recently indicted 10 people for the exact same thing. In that scheme, they actually staged fake holdups at convenience stores. Someone would come in with a gun, pretend to rob the place on camera, and then the clerk would call the cops and hand over the security footage as evidence. So this appears to be a known loophole that's being exploited in multiple states. Anyway, let's go back to Louisiana. The indictment pertains to 24 specific cases. And believe it or not, every single one of the victims has the last name Patel. Everyone, D. Patel, H. Patel, P. Patel, all Patel. So this wasn't exactly a subtle operation. In fact, Lala Patel himself was granted a U visa in 2023 based on his own alleged status as a victim of an armed robbery. So the guy allegedly running the fake robbery ring got his own visa through what may have been a fake robbery. Now, the indictment also lays out what these guys were doing with the money. The Oakdale police chief bought a Ford F-150 for $15,000 in cash. Patel bought a Land Rover and was moving tens of thousands of dollars of cash between 8 different bank accounts and buying property around town. The feds are now seeking forfeiture of 6 properties, multiple vehicles, and safe deposit boxes at multiple banks. So by now you're probably wondering how these guys got caught. The scheme ran from 2015 all the way to 2025, but the specific visa fraud charges are all clustered between 2023 and 2024. That suggests that these guys were getting bolder and ramping up the number of fake crime reports as time went on. And that's probably what did them in. A former Oakdale police officer said that he could recall maybe only 2 or 3 actual armed robberies in his entire decade on the force. So a flood of robbery reports coming out of a town where nothing usually happens eventually raised red flags. In 2024, federal investigators started pulling the thread, and eventually 200 law enforcement officers showed up to execute search warrants across the area, including at Patel's Subway shop. All 5 defendants initially pleaded not guilty, but plea change hearings have been scheduled for Patel and the former Glenmora police chief in the coming weeks. That usually means that someone is about to cooperate. So crazy story. Let me know what you think in the comments and follow for more.
Wild. Wild, wild, wild. I did see this and I thought I wanted to talk about it, and I do. People don't know about these data centers. They're coming. Pine Island, they just walked out of their city council, the city council and the mayor, and city staff, and brought the police back. They were gone for I think it was like a half an hour or whatever, but shit's crazy. People are really getting mad. They're getting fed up. Cities are holding things from their constituents, the people that pay for the city to work, to do their public safety. We got public works, we got the parks. But if we have bullshit going on up at the city, you already know that there's bullshit going on in other departments. So watch this colossal failure, right? It's talking about Elon Musk's data centers faced lawsuit for polluting Black areas down in Memphis.
.org, The War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman. On this Earth Day, we're continuing our look at community resistance to the construction of AI data centers. We go now from the state of Maine, which just passed a statewide moratorium on the construction of new data centers, to the city of Memphis, Tennessee. Last week, the NAACP sued Elon Musk's xAI, accusing the artificial intelligence company of polluting Black neighborhoods with toxic emissions from its makeshift power plant fueling its data centers in Memphis. The lawsuit alleges xAI is violating the Clean Air Act by operating over 24 methane gas-burning turbines without legal permits. The massive xAI data centers are known as Colossus and Colossus II. We go now to Memphis, where we're joined by Keyshawn Pearson, Executive Director of Memphis Community Against Pollution. Keyshawn, thanks so much for joining us again. We talked to you almost exactly a year ago. Can you talk about what is Colossus and Colossus 2? Talk about the power these data centers require and what kind of regulation there is.
Thank you, Amy, for having me back. It's good to be back. And we are, unfortunately, in an even worse position than we were a year ago. At this point, we now have two facilities, Colossus 1 and Colossus 2, that are being powered by illegal and unlawful methane gas turbines. These turbines generate enough power to power over 500,000 homes. This is unprecedented, the amount of pollution that we're being exposed to, nitrogen dioxide, formaldehyde, chemicals that we know cause cancer. And so in this moment, we have to do something similar to what Maine is doing. And we are demanding a moratorium of some sort come to fruition. But here in Memphis, we are unfortunately a cautionary tale about what will and possibly can happen if you don't have the right rules and guardrails in place.
Last year, Elon Musk explained why he decided to build Colossus in Memphis.
Well, we needed a building. We can't build a building, so we must use an existing building. So we looked for basically for factories that had been abandoned, but the factory was in good shape, like the company had gone bankrupt or something. So we found an Electrolux factory in Memphis. That's why it's in Memphis. Home of Elvis, and also one of the oldest, I think it was the capital of ancient Egypt.
So that's Elon Musk. Keyshawn Pearson, you're the director of Memphis Community Against Pollution. That's MCAP. It's the NAACP that's suing XAI, accusing the company of polluting black neighborhoods. The facility next to historically black neighborhoods runs on 24 methane gas-powered turbine generators, which you've said emit significant amounts of nitrogen oxide and other toxic chemicals. Talk about what Elon Musk has said and why you think that this is particularly hurting black communities.
What Elon Musk said is basically smoke and mirrors, because what we know is that Southwest Memphis continues to be targeted. Memphis Community Against Pollution has stood up against multiple corporations and billion-dollar organizations who've sought to see our community as the path of least resistance, where they could push forward these environmentally unjust and these environmentally racist projects. These projects specifically focus on a neighborhood, on a community, and on a region where you see an increased poverty level, and you also see an increased amount of black families. Just like all over the South, you see a concentration of AI data centers in communities that are largely black or marginalized. This is nothing new. This is Elon Musk presenting an option for Memphis, which we know is untrue. Elon Musk was invited to Memphis. Unfortunately, our city mayor joined with Ted Townsend of our Greater Memphis Chamber, and these folks wooed the terrible decision that we continue to see operate like a cancer in our region. XAI has not promoted or really led to the jobs that they said they would. They have not been in communication with the community in any significant way. But what they have done is continue to pollute our air, to do it unlawfully and illegally, and not include even our government officials. We are in a place now where we are literally worse off than we have ever been. XAI continues to pollute at a level even higher than our Memphis International Airport. This has been terrible for our region, and it's terrible for our future, because our community is going to continue to suffer. Our children have the highest rate of ER visits for respiratory illnesses and issues in the state of Tennessee, and it's only going to continue to get worse.
Elon Musk claims he chose the former Electrolux building in Memphis because he wanted to expedite his AI applications using an abandoned building instead of a new one. What was Electrolux previously? And how did Musk's company, XAI, go about purchasing the building?
Yeah, so Electrolux was a company who came into Memphis doing something very similar to what we're seeing XAI do. They offer hyperbolic promises and ended up a colossus failure. And Electrolux was a company, machine company, and they got breaks from our Shelby County Health Department, from our Shelby County government, and our City of Memphis government. They actually received the building at a discount and got payments in lieu of taxes, or a pilot program to help them finance it. And then they left. They got the money and then they left, leaving this facility open. And XAI purchased the facility and started their environmentally unjust project. And so we are seeing this cyclical activity, and it's in the same area. We cannot bifurcate the fact that Southwest Memphis has continued to be the site and target of a lot of these extractive corporations in an extractive ecosystem. One last thing I do want to add is that in 1968, Dr. Martin Luther King came and he marched with sanitation workers in the city of Memphis. That was fighting for environmental justice. And that is the fight that we are continuing. It is no mistake that environmentally unjust projects continue to put pressure on the city of Memphis and continue to extrapolate what we know is our right to healthy environment and clean air. And so with this project, we will continue to fight back, and we will continue to work alongside the NAACP, the Southern Environmental Law Center, and Earth Justice, as well as our partners in coalition in South Haven, the Safe and Sound Coalition.
Yeah, I see you got the little Afro pin on there. Crazy. While we're talking about data centers, I want to talk about the one that's happening in Pine Island. They're talking about
chaos unfolding at the Pine Island City Council meeting yesterday as city staff walked out during a public comment and returned with law enforcement officials. The move came after one woman questioned the city administrator over the city's data center project. Here's ABC6's Alex Karwowski with the story.
No amount of money will undo the damage caused by this behemoth data center, and you will be known as the people.
Those were the words Joyce Lanners delivered to the Pine Island City Council during Tuesday's City Council meeting, as she read this message to city staff and council members regarding their plans to bring a Google data center to Pine Island.
I will probably move if that data center goes a half a mile from me.
That's Rodney Lanners, Joyce's husband. He wasn't available to talk with us today, so he answered our questions. As for how he saw Tuesday's events play out, he says one glaring factor could have been part of it.
They went back and got their 4 cops and came back about 20 minutes later to continue the meeting.
I don't know if they were anticipating we were going to storm the castle, but yeah.
It's this issue of transparency that has been a huge grievance for the people of Pine Island, as many are finding out about the project as it's unfolding.
We just learned last week they put in their iron air batteries across the other side of 52, so that'll be bordering along Highway 52 as you drive by as well.
And much like Rodney, if the project goes up, others are planning to move out.
I don't see myself with a future in Pine Island any longer with this data center. I do not want to live with 10 to 15 years of construction. I don't want to live with the resulting campus.
We reached out to the city administrator, Elizabeth Howard, who many residents say signed a non-disclosure agreement that barred her from speaking about the data center, which for a long time went under the name Project Skyway.
Right.
She was not available on Wednesday, but agreed to have one city council member answer our questions on Thursday, while she would answer questions off the record. But one former city council member said it's that sort of behavior that erodes public trust.
The political chaos on the federal and state level puts a distaste in people's mouths, but the trust is strongest with our locally elected officials.
Hence why she says the city's behavior is shocking.
The fact that city council members are currently not listening to their constituents, neighbors, and friends is alarming, considering that they were elected to serve their community.
Yeah, that's crazy. I remember going to Pine Island, and not for about the data center, but I did work with Kelly LeBold on a couple things out in Pine Island. And yeah, Pine Island is a trip, man. You can't tell me that there's not issues, and there has been issues that you can't just sweep under the rug. The same way in Red Wing, can't sweep the shit under the rug and expect people to be happy about it. You know what I'm saying? Even when it comes to, I know a lot of people maybe don't know about it or whatever, but there was a crude corn oil spill that happened in Red Wing, and it's like, how does that not hurt? Let me see if I can pull it up. Let me see. Red Wing. Corn oil spill. Yeah, here it is. Oops. And I think I took the, yeah, I did. And then they always say that there's nothing ever like, oh, the public to say it's safe. How is all these gallons that fell into the Mississippi River, how is that? Yeah, I don't get that shit. So
Well, around 3,000 to 3,500 gallons of crude corn oil has been spilled in the Mississippi River. That's according to the city of Red Wing in Minnesota. The spill came from a barge and was reported yesterday. Around noon, the Red Wing Fire Department responded to the scene to contain the oil. Booms were placed downstream to trap more of the spill. Officials say the situation is contained and there is no risk to the public. ADM and Clean Harbors is now monitoring the scene to assist with further cleanup.
Yeah, I don't get that shit. How is there not a threat? Or, yeah, I don't get that shit. Because people eat fucking fish out of that shit. Yeah, I don't get it. And they always want to tell us that, oh, no, it's safe. You can eat it. Nothing's going to happen, even though the motherfucker got maybe an extra fin or whatever. But go ahead, eat it. Ain't nothing going to happen to you. So all these motherfuckers got all that weird shit. I think that's so much shit happens. Doesn't matter if it's our food. It doesn't matter if it's our education system. Like, everything is so fucked up. They're okay with letting people eat this or letting people eat that. And it's like, fuck is it? Like, any of that shit safe? Like, that's crazy. I don't get it. I really, really don't get it. Like, how is some of this shit actually good? You know what I'm saying? Like, can't be good for it if all that shit just flies in the water and, yeah, shit just crazy. I don't really fucking get it. But maybe I'm not supposed to get it. Maybe I'm not supposed to get it. Maybe that's what it is. I'm not supposed to get it. Like, we're not supposed to understand. It's just supposed to happen. Right? It's just supposed to. This history repeats itself. Nobody really cares. History repeats itself. With that being said, man, I'm going to get up out of here. I will be back tomorrow, same time, same place. And I'm thinking I'm going to bring Robert on tomorrow. So, Robert, if you're listening, expect an email later on. Because I think we need to talk about what's happening in Minnesota and how do we move forward. So I will be bringing that with Robert tomorrow. I am going to reach out. Maybe tomorrow doesn't work for him, but if it does, I will be talking about Minneapolis, the fraud in Minnesota, and how do we move forward. So with that being said, I'm going to get up out of here. Here's Don Tripp. Stay frosty. And I will see y'all tomorrow, same time, same place.
What's up, Chihuahua? Yeah, somebody somewhere got it worse than me. Where I'm from, you gotta work to eat. Round here, you gotta earn your keep. Cause ain't a damn thing on this earth for free. Woke up and I pursued my dreams. Irony is I'm losing sleep. Me and my kids built snowmen in the front yard, but it still ain't cool as me. and I'm cold as ice. Knocking shit down like I bowled a strike. We all know talk is cheap, but somehow freedom of speech feel overpriced. Heard them say it'll all work out in the end. Well, baby, I hope you right. I hope for all our sake we end up lucky in life like Golden Strike. Ain't shit we can do but roll the dice. Pray it don't land on a 3 or a 12. Gotta watch for the snake guys as well. Some of your friends are sneaky as hell. Some of your homeboys need you to fail so they can feel better about themselves. I can't afford to go back and forth. Nobody ain't buy me no rocking chair. Somebody got it much worse.